There is a new addition to this year's Ride to Conquer Cancer, and it's called ePACT, and its aim is to keep riders safe in the event of a medical emergency or other emergencies. And joining us now to tell us about it is Kirsten Telford, the co-founder and president of ePACT. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
So for some people who may not know what the Ride to Conquer Cancer is, I'm doing it for the second time this year, and it's a ride from Vancouver to Seattle to raise money for the BC Cancer Foundation. It's raised $70 million so far. But last year was a bit crazy. I was in it, so I know. So tell me first of all, what is ePACT?
So ePACT is a single emergency record that families can use to store emergency information, allergies, medical information, and then use it to connect with organizations like the Ride to Conquer Cancer that might need that information in an emergency. So in the case of an organization like the Ride will use ePACT to connect with people and be able to communicate out in emergency situations or access medical information if they need it.
Right. So I got an email a couple of days ago asking me to join and to fill out all my information. So I did, and I actually was wondering, well, this is new. But I immediately could see the benefits of it because last year, I don't know if you remember, there was a windstorm during the ride, and the ride ended up being shut down because it was dangerous, but half of the riders had already left, including myself, and we didn't know that, and we're dealing with down trees and down power lines, and it was very scary. So could you send me a text message alert or something in the event of another emergency like that?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, last year, the Ride, I thought, did an amazing job of handling that difficult situation, but they do have riders spread over probably 50 kilometers, and they're trying to get messages out with their crew and so on. And so this year, riders in that kind of situation would get a text, voicemail, or an email letting them know what's happening and how to respond. So instead of it taking, you know, an hour to get that information out, it might take 5 minutes.
Right.
So I've not been on the Ride, so you get an email.
You should do it next year.
You're riding along. I hope you're not checking your email as you go. There are breaks, or you guys can
There
go
are breaks.
straight?
There are places where you can get food and water and
then that's when everyone's doing this.
Yeah.
They go, oh, the race is over. We've been stopped. Well, you hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
but that's when you can check
case.
your... People didn't see I was checking my cell phone there during the break. They saw the footage. But yeah, so people are obviously encouraged to have their devices on them.
So people are encouraged not to ever use their devices, obviously, while they're riding, but they do have them on them. And so as riders stop at pit stops and so on, word spreads pretty quickly if there's a message. Now,
we were just looking at some footage there of an unfortunate accident that happened a few years ago where there was a fatality, very tragic circumstances. Sometimes people do get hurt. It's a very safe ride, but sometimes people do get hurt. So is this also a way of protecting people from that? In that case? Yeah,
I mean, in any kind of medical emergency, obviously having the right information quickly is critical. So with ePACT, a limited number of crew members will have access to people's medical information, but they will be able to convey that to a paramedic so that if you have something like an allergy that's pertinent in a medical response or in a pre-existing condition, that information is known right away. They'll also be able to see emergency contacts without digging into databases and paper forms and so on. They have that at their fingertips so that they can reunite families in those kind of difficult situations as quickly as possible.
Right. Now, how did you get the idea to start ePACT?
So ePACT started with a much bigger emergency. A really close friend of ours in 2011 went through the earthquake and tsunami in Japan. She was separated from her kids for about 3 days. And the first 12 hours of that, her children were sitting on a school bus outside the school because they had no emergency contacts and there just wasn't a plan in place. So we started to look at what happens here if in this kind of an emergency or really day-to-day, how do we address emergencies? And started to look at what the internet could do for that to connect people, to allow them to share information with each other before an emergency and help them to connect after an emergency.
Right, so obviously this has much bigger applications than just the Ride to Conquer Cancer.
Absolutely. We actually work with sporting events like the Ride, but we also work with schools. We work with a lot of parks and rec departments, so a lot of summer camps use the system. The real idea with ePACT is, as a family, you've got that one account where you're keeping all your information up to date. It's connected to your emergency contacts, and it's connected to everybody. So if you need to make a change, your cell phone number changes, you update it in ePACT, it goes out to it goes out to your whole network. It lets your school know, it lets your camp know, or your child develops an allergy. That information is all there. It's secure, and you know where to access it.
So you can assure me it's secure?
I
Nobody's
can
like
assure you,
reading
yes,
my health information?
Yes, absolutely not. So that's one of the nice things about ePACT is you do know where your information is. You know, right now we write it on paper forms. It's sitting in filing cabinets. ePACT privacy and security is kind of our #1 thing. So the system was architected with that security in mind. Our security levels meet or exceed that of online banks. And we go through regular security and privacy audits against not only BC standards, but because we work across North America, against international standards.
That is good to hear. Well, thank you for telling us about it.